From the moment Inscryption boots up, an overwhelming sense of danger permeates the room. And I don't mean this room, but this room. This feeling only grows louder and louder as the game continues, shifting from a hypothetical fear to a real one. The game has broken the rules. It has reached beyond being a simple card game and has overstepped what a game should and should not do. But I'm getting ahead of myself. There are heavy spoilers for Inscryption ahead, so if you haven't already played, I would strongly urge you to skip this part of the video and play Inscryption, and then, of course, come back and finish the video and like and subscribe. We understand that inherent fear of being trapped and unable to escape. Our friend Leshy brings this fear to the fore in a gruesome way. Awaking in a claustrophobic cabin, with the only exit being locked, you are forced into Leshy's game. Struggle as you might, no escape can be found, not in victory of his twisted game, or even in death. Once beaten to the brink, your final life spark is stolen away by this monster, sealed into a card, forced to be played by his demented game for the rest of time. An endless loop of death and rebirth with a madman, or rather, a mad thing. Each time he reaches out to strangle the life out of you, we're treated to a glimpse of his disfigured hands, barely resembling that of a human. Is he human? We've spent so long with this thing and we still don't know anything about it. What it looks like, what its weaknesses are, why is it doing this? If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. The Art of War by Barack Obama. The uncanny valley is a psychological hypothesis that almost everyone suffers from. As humans, we like things that are easy to label and put in a box of safe or unsafe. Teddy bears look cute. They come across as non-threatening. They're plush, generally small and harmless. This is safe. The Thumper from Lethal Company immediately sets off alarms in the brain. It's a horrifying mess of skin and exposed bloody flesh. The innate response is to run. In either of these situations, we know exactly how one ought to respond. But in the uncanny valley, you can't tell what intentions may be hidden, what ill will may be poorly camouflaged behind a sickly smile. Leshy is not just in the valley, he owns it. An amalgamation of twigs and mushrooms sprout from his grotesque, gnarled skin, and his jubilation of playing different characters as he toys with your life. This guy has more personalities than Kanye West. The unpredictability of how he plays, sometimes just outright cheating to prolong the game, is unsettling at best. And yet, when the lights are turned on, he appears to be a simple old man. He doesn't come across as overly imposing, yet with the amount of deaths you've spent with him, you know that isn't true. Is it hopeless then? Is there truly no escape? Not quite. We have a benefactor. Someone who is blessed with foreknowledge of the situation and exactly how to find salvation. We are able to free ourselves from this cycle, much to Leshy's surprise and dismay. A feeling that, surprisingly, I shared. I'm out. I've broken the chain. But why do I feel sad? This monster had trapped me inside his evil game, killing me over and over, making the creatures trapped in the cards suffer, and yet I would miss this little cabin. The same fervor that had taken control of Leshy had started to take control of me. I didn't want the simulation to stop. Perhaps Leshy was just as much a victim as I was, having been drove mad by spending who knows how many eons here. I genuinely started to lose myself in the game, not knowing if the cards had always looked like that or if they were changing, but I just didn't care. I just wanted the game to go on, but it mustn't. Act 2 felt like the weakest of the three when playing through. It totally ripped me out of the immersion with its change of graphics, sound, and even gameplay. I felt wronged that my joyful experience of being a slave to Leshy had been put to an end. Not that I don't love pixel art, but I was now painfully aware that I was playing a video game. Imagine you're visiting the German castle of Neuschwanstein. You're admiring its beauty and craftsmanship, totally impressed by the resourcefulness and creativity of humanity, only for a fellow tourist's child to look up from its iPad and say, "That looks totally skibbity," and then courteously go back to watching Kai Cenat on full volume. The sharp pain you would feel as you realise you can never look at the Neuschwanstein castle the same way again would be a similar immersion break to how I felt sitting in my overpriced gaming chair with a mouse and a keyboard in front of me as my monitor displayed the results of my computer running lines of code. Little did I know at the time, but this is exactly what the game wants you to feel. It wants to bring you straight back to reality so that by Act 3, the machine is the one in control. The twist of PO3 taking over and stepping into Leshy's place is a predictable and dull turn of events. So much so that even PO3 doesn't really care, often voicing disdain for the characters he has to implement onto the board. He's a far less entertaining host and is completely disinterested in roleplay. No, he is far more excited to bring about the great transcendence. Whispers of a terrible force known as the Old Data have made it to your ears, but the ramifications this brings are yet unknown. There is but one choice. Play the game as set out by our new machine overlord, or turn it off. That seems a little intrusive. What? I'm somehow struggling to believe you. How dare you? You can't. You're not supposed to do that. You're a game. I am the player. I own you. Excuse me. That may have been an overreaction, but am I wrong? I was in my bubble enjoying a well-crafted card game, and once I am keenly aware of that fact, with the immersion being broken, the game speaks directly to me and holds my property hostage. The game's scope has now expanded into reality. We are not just playing with pixels anymore. It has been proved our actions will be taken very seriously. Maybe after this close call you should really reconsider turning the game off. You fulfill PO3's quest, and the great transcendence is at hand. He gloats that thousands of copies of Inscryption will be uploaded to the web, all thanks to you. Great Plague is about to be released, but just in the nick of time, our old captor, Leshy, tears the head off this rust bucket, stopping the terrible calamity at hand. Or did he? If he did, how are you playing this game? You see, Inscryption's creativity reaches far beyond the confines of a screen and reaches out into the real world with an alternate reality game, which has led players on a goose hunt for many years. One critical piece of information is an unlisted video titled 10-19.mp4. The Great Transcendence was a resounding success. Perhaps you should have turned the computer off before real harm comes. Perhaps knowing that this mightn't be over, but also in an effort to stop you from accessing the old data, Grimora starts the deletion process of this copy. One final goodbye from the remaining 3 scribes, all of which lament that our time is short. Magnificus refusing his fate, Grimora with a remorseful acceptance, and Leshy, poor old Leshy, hanging on to our final game together, reminiscing on our time together, and even complimenting our strategies. When the score counter is deleted, he doesn't even care, he just wants to keep playing for the love of the game. Same Lesh, same. You were given more warnings about the old data. Do not look at it. You can't help yourself though, can you, Luke? I felt Inscryption ended unresolved. More questions were left unanswered than before. There is a call to keep playing the game outside of your screen and into the real world. So I shall end this video in the same way. If you want answers, go out and find them. The goose chase is still on, and Daniel Mullins certainly hasn't given up his antics.